All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Coffee with Sales Engineers. This year, we're actually doing a slight twist into our podcast. In addition to continuing to bring amazing stories from sales engineers that have fallen into this role from many different paths and functions and backgrounds, I'm actually excited to bring some of the leaders, innovators, visionaries that have built technology to support this profession. And first in our series is my great friend Kintan, who's the CEO and founder of Olto. So, Kintan, very glad to have you on this podcast. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience and then we'll get into our questions?
Thanks so much, Sachin. I'm a big fan of the podcast and of you, so thank you so much for letting me weigh in. Hey everyone, I'm a co-founder and CEO of Olto. We are a AI native platform to help solutions engineers customize their live product demos and create leave behinds. And prior to that, I was a GM at Amazon, helped start a couple of businesses, and I've been also involved in the startup world as an early stage investor in several companies. Super duper excited to do this, Sachin. So
Yeah.
let's get started.
This is amazing. You and I are among many other SC leaders that are trying to create more awareness for this great profession. I'm very curious. One of these events that I've attended recently. You've hosted some salons, and a lot of thought leadership that goes into it. And I'm really inspired by how much more innovation, how much more technology. I mean, 5 years ago, even as an SC manager, SC leader, I didn't even think that there would be technology purpose built for sales engineering, right? I used to focus and stress about, we're using Salesforce. How can we customize Salesforce to meet our needs? Or back then we were using Dooley or we were using Gong. And I was always thinking about these are great sales tools, but they're not really optimized for sales engineers. And I was hoping that those solutions will wake up and say, our users are not just sales reps, sales engineers. But I'm curious, at what point in your in your journey that the light bulb went on where you were like, I gotta innovate for the sales engineer for sales engineers in this world.
No, 100%. I think and it's been an evolving thought. And so
Yeah.
thanks for asking that. Uh, if you look at it, just take a step back and look at the modern GTM. And let's say the modern GTM, let's start with 10 years back. For the last
Yeah.
decade, some of the more innovative approaches in GTM were, top three, I would say call recording. Gong is one of the pioneers, and Chorus and
Yeah.
such. Another was obviously sequencing, email sequencing, outbound sequencing, Outreach, SalesLoft, and others. And I'd probably say, better prospecting, through parts of Apollo and Clay recently, and obviously, Zoom Info. If you look at the next 10 years, I have, strong confidence points and data points to indicate that product will play an outsized role in the modern GTM. And when we look at product, solutions engineers, sales engineers are at one of the most opportune positions, both in the organization as well as in the funnel, mid funnel, where they are both closer to the customer, closer to the sales and sales teams and customers, as well as closer to the
Right.
product team. And so we started with that. We started with the macro thesis around uh, you know product is going to play an outsized role. And when we talked with hundreds of sales leaders, pre-sales, post-sales, CROs, at companies of varying sizes, I realized that the opportunity to innovate was the greatest at the mid funnel level. And as we dug deeper, talking with solutions engineers and leaders, we realized that the number one job to be done for a solutions engineer is to tailor the product to fit the narrative
That's right.
for that prospect's use case. Because we are in the business of sense making, right?
Yeah.
Need to make sure that the buyer understands how this product is going to fit in their context, how is it going to solve their specific problems. And solutions engineers are adept at it. And they do that by sheer curiosity, genuine empathy, storytelling, while weaving how this product, adheres to the needs of that buyer. But when we
Yeah.
looked at the tool sets available in the market, uh, you know, they they primarily focused on one of two things. One was either have a cloned version that could act as a separate, either an interactive demo tour or product tool, or
Yeah.
even a sandbox of
Right.
the product. Now, clones by definition are clone of a snapshot in time. So
Right.
while super easy to create, uh, I just heard that not everything can be cloned. Not
Right.
every time there's a product refresh or a brand refresh, you gotta reclone it again. The
That's right.
industry of product experience or demos or storytelling around technical sales has been around for over a dozen years, and there've been solutions by companies I respect, like videos based demos, their interactive tour demos, their live demos. We realize that with large language models, if we apply large language models to HTML, because we started, this is Olto is our vision of, if all of the great companies we admire and respect in the space, if they were started in the post AI world, in the age of large
Right.
language models, what would that be? And
What
that's
would
what
that
we
look like?
aspire to
Yeah.
be. And LLMs allow us to really quickly understand the guts of a product. So once we
Yeah.
understand, hey, what are the fields that matter, what are the pages, entities, data points, we can quickly apply Gen AI to replace those fields, replace those data fields, to create a data complete story that is hyper tailored or hyper personalized for a specific prospect or that prospect's industry or that prospect's use case and persona. In fact, we can
Yeah.
have multiple personalized demos for that same company or that prospect. So different people in the buying committee can have a different experience of the demo. And all of that was feasible earlier, but it was all manual.
That's right.
So the payout needed to be so high for a company or for a SE team to invest in creating so many manual demos and personalized demos. So what
Yeah.
we heard people doing, what we heard SEs doing is they'll only do that for deals above a certain ACV and
Right.
certain probability in terms of conversion and such.
Yeah.
Uh, we thought that, hey, what if we reduce the friction to create a hyper personalized, hyper tailored demo for anyone and for any deal, regardless of deal size. And if we
Yeah.
reduce friction, people will do more of it. And
That's right.
that's what we set out to do. And been fascinated by the growth of I think the growth of LLM's ability to solve some of these problems has even surprised us, my co-founder
Yeah.
JB and I, as well as our customers. And what we have
Yeah.
unlocked is that what we have observed is that AI has unlocked a whole new set of scenarios that none of us envision. A simple use case is now some of our customers are actually using actual live production instances to demo the most closely related use case. So if there is a use case that matters to a prospect, they'll actually take a live production instance that is closest to that prospect, and then use AI to anonymize any sensitive information to
Oh,
avoid any
interesting.
disclosure risk, and
Yeah.
show the live product. And to do that with 1 minute or 2 minute of investment is just game changing
Wow.
for a lot of teams. So
Yeah.
long story, but context of both the macro availability of technology and a
Yeah.
very real problem that resonated with our customers during our customer discovery. Got us to kind of start here.
Yeah.
Another point is that mid funnel is just from a founder perspective. Mid funnel is such a core space where the adjacencies are quite accessible. We can expand down the line as the role of GTM, role of solutions expand. We can actually expand with
Yeah.
that and grow with it.
I love that. I love your vision for how go to market is changing. I mean, as a new CRO, I'm kind of experiencing, that the same approach that worked 5 years ago, right? You can apply that approach. Buyer behavior is constantly evolving, right? You mentioned personalization is at a very different scale and level. And I think the more all of us start to use AI, right, in our personal lives, in our day-to-day lives, you start to realize it's the non-human element where AI really shines, right? And if you try to have AI play a role that can replace this type of conversation, it kind of sucks, right? It starts hallucinating and right? There's all these negative things that it's not really designed for that, right? And to your point, your focus on that mid funnel, the importance of that mid funnel sounds like it's only going to grow because the buyers want to have that human connection, that personalized connection, that consultative approach to say, look, I don't want to read 15 emails because everybody's marketing emails now start the same because everybody's getting inspiration from ChatGPT to write their value messages and all that. But when I'm talking to a sales engineer or a sales rep, I want to have a human connection to truly understand that what I'm trying to do, can your product solve for that? And I love that sales engineers are becoming more and more important to play that role because they've got that skill set. And thank you for betting on this vertical and continuing to innovate and bring solutions to make sales engineering better. Because I think when you have tools like these that are purpose built for SEs, I can tell, and I know from just talking to you, you're meeting with so many SEs and SC leaders because you're constantly trying to figure out how can Alto help, ease that process and improve that process. So I think you shared a really good overview of Alto. At least I got that. Is there anything else you want to talk about to the listeners, what Alto is? And my next question there is, nobody would argue with you that we shouldn't do more personalized demos. They should not be tailored to our customers, prospects, use cases. And we should not reserve those tailored demos for the top 10%. We should do it for every prospect. Every prospect is good and important. But I think a lot of teams struggle with how do you bring technology like that into their companies. So give us an overview, anything more than you've discussed on Alto. And then if I'm SC listening in, I'm inspired by your vision and your platform, how should I be thinking about bringing this solution into my company?
Definitely. So one additional point I'd say is that initially when I talked with SE leaders, there was this belief system that look, production instances are not the best. There's a little bit of a hot take here, but hey, you should not use a production system because production is has all these risks where it may go down, or it may expose some data that's not supposed to be exposed, and everyone is sharing the same demo instance or same production version of the instance. I think a lot of those I guess learned helplessness, I'd say, due to the constraints of the technology, are now solved. So I'm actually personally a big proponent of wherever possible, use the live product. And this is a little bit of a bias because I come from a product background, machine learning and product background. So I would actually, as a product builder, I'd like the sales teams and customers to check out the product as soon as possible in the cycle. And so I'd encourage solutions teams to explore, have an open mind to see, hey, if you can use your live versions of the product more so than before, because
there's a level of authenticity and truth there, right? Like you're showing what your customers are using, right? It kind of removes this doubt of, are you walking me to a model home where I know that my home is never going to look like this, right? But you're kind of saying that show them what you have, show them what's on the truck, and let them believe in that, in their evaluation cycle.
Yeah, and it's all about it's less about trying to kind of slap your product onto an existing team, and it's less about convincing the buyer or the buying committee that hey, your product is better than others and so on. It's more about, hey, let's really understand, let's do our discovery, let's understand what's your existing pattern, behavior, use cases, and see where this product intersects or not. But let's just check it out. Right. So just to your second part of your question, I'd welcome, if you're interested in learning about Alto, I'd welcome a quick chat, and just very quickly, let's just run Alto on your product. Do a quick POC. See, the beauty of AI is that the cost to design and implement and run POCs has gone down significantly. Yeah. So I'd be more than happy to run a POC for you guys very quickly.
And I love that when I did that, Kintan, at my previous company, I was just shocked that, because I thought when you first told me about that, I thought it was going to be like, a couple of weeks process of, and I was also worried about you don't really know much about our platform, and I think within matter of minutes, you installed, the extension, and boom, I was using Alto on our platform, which was amazing.
Yeah, so I'd welcome that. I mean, and then you can learn about all. I mean, I'm Kintan at Olto.com, or love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn or Olto.com, and please reach out. And would love to chat and would love to learn from you. Honestly,
Yeah. How would in addition to that, like, are there things, how would you, or what have you seen work, if I'm an SE or SE leader listening in what frame should I be bringing to sales leadership, saying, because I think people would relate to the challenge, but what are some messaging that's resonated really well from decision buyers or influencers within the company to say, is are we not doing enough personalized demos? Are we not showing production because of one reason or that? What are some high level themes that I think the listeners could use to even facilitate and advocate for a solution like Alto within their companies?
yeah, certainly. I think the first and foremost, it starts with understanding and realizing the need. And that's what,
Yeah.
when I have a conversation with a fellow SE leader or a SE, I really try to understand if they really have a need, awareness of the need themselves. And
Right.
that need happens to be in one of, two or three ways. Some folks really want to just increase the efficiency of their pre-sales team. So it's all about
Okay.
pre-sales scaling. And there, it comes down to, hey, what's the throughput? What's the efficiency? Where is the time going? And how can AI genuinely help, reduce some of those times, some of those areas, reduce time spent on some of those areas. They often tend to be along one of three vectors: demo prep, demo maintenance, and demo enablement. So enabling the
Mm.
broader sales team on giving demos or giving early stage demos if the SEs are not doing all the demos. So that's
Yeah.
one. In some cases, it's about leave behinds and post demo, post discovery conversations and assets. Where it could be like a quick
Right.
and dirty leave behind or quick POC like sandbox, or a quick snippet of a certain feature. If somebody asks a question, I want to just, instead of sending a short email, what if I can just send a version of the product so they can actually play around with that specific aspect. And then there are
Right.
teams where they want to use demos as lead qualifiers. So they embed it on the website or the landing page or in the outbound and qualify leads. So understanding which of those, some or all of those, like common use cases are relevant, and then stack ranking them, because they'll help
Mm-hmm.
answer a few questions around uh, how important it is for the broader vision, for the broader priority of the company, of the sales team, and so on.
Yeah.
Where, if there is budget conversation, where is the budget going to come? And more importantly, from your buyer's perspective, at what point in your sales cycle will demos play a role, or will this investment play a role? The
Yeah.
most common one that I have seen in my experience has been pre-sales scaling, and the conversation starts with pre-sales team scaling, but it quickly goes into, wow, there are all these new scenarios that I didn't even think we could do. So it kind
Right.
of becomes something completely different, where it kind of quickly shifts, the focus shifts from scaling to just a big enabler or unlock for,
Yeah.
hey, these features we were not able to demo for the last 5 years, and now all of a sudden we are able to demo it to everyone without having to
Yeah.
sign NDAs, this and that. So I think that's how the conversation typically goes, and
Okay.
uh, that's what we want, because now the whole point of leveraging cutting edge technology is to figure out what makes something work, but how it might work differently for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting. It's interesting you mentioned pre-sale scaling is what works best, because obviously good functioning SC organizations by default are stretched thin because everybody wants to use them, right? Like when you have a strong team of sales engineers, everybody wants to pull them into their deals. Reps know that the earlier they can get SEs involved, the higher chances of those deals closing and all of that. But I also experienced, over the last, couple of companies where when the SE team is good, other departments want to start pulling in SEs, right? We used to have where channel organizations, right, want to bring demos to, excite new partners, right? Marketing teams, analyst teams, right? Like people that are just, working with Gartner and others want to bring SCs to be able to demo to these analysts because showing them the product made all the difference, right? So if you can scale, then you don't just scale within the sales organization, you actually scale across the company, which is great.
That's very well put.
Talking about
100%.
efficiency, yeah. Talking about
I'll just add a
efficiency,
couple more.
yes, please,
Just a couple
please.
more roles on that point.
Yes,
Investor
add as
relations
much,
is
man. This is
investor
the
is
world of
something
puppies.
I I came across, like where a couple of our customers, the investor relations team, kind of asked for an account, and that was interesting because we hadn't thought of investor relations as a
Yeah.
as a user at all. And then
Well, usually most
training.
companies will say, sorry, our SCs are only reserved for sales, right? And this is not
Exactly.
gonna generate a quote unquote opportunity for us.
Yeah, exactly. And then training is another one that we are seeing more and more companies
Yes.
using Olto. They'll go in with the pre-sales team, but they're using Olto for training as well. On the previous
Yeah.
question, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention somebody who does, the broader question of how to evaluate demo solutions and kind of bring it in. A SE leader that I respect, Diana Capello at Eightfold.ai.
Okay.
She's brilliant. I think she has a framework she uses for evaluating tools, and I think she's very kind in sharing it on LinkedIn and such. So just a huge shout out to Diana, because now she has this process down to the T, and it's I think it's very effective. So
Nice.
one more pointer there.
Let's add her. If she posted it on LinkedIn, I'll make sure remember to add that to the podcast link, so anybody
Oh, great.
listening in can quickly access it. I love that.
That'd be great.
I love that. Awesome. So automation, right? AI. We're living in the AI world. You guys are. Alto is leveraging AI to its fullest potential. What is, you're at the edge of observing how the SC role is evolving and your product is influencing it. How much of SC activities, SC, role you think will continue to get automated and influenced by AI in the short term?
Yeah, I think there are different aspects of the role, and SE's role is just one of those roles, but it applies across all roles, including a founder's role and a CEO's role, and so
Yeah.
on. So, if I were to take a step back, and this is something I picked up from Bezos at Amazon, where we almost always thought about, hey, what are the latest trends and what's going to change, and he almost always insisted that we focus on things that are not going to change. The classic example of things that are not going to change from a retail perspective at Amazon were, hey, our customers are always going to want to have lowest prices, highest convenience, biggest, largest selection. So, like,
Right.
focusing on the things that are less likely to change, or very very unlikely to change in the for the rest of our career at least. So
Right.
same applies to SEs, where I'd actually also focus on things that are less likely to change. The SE's role, as I said, number one job to be done is to tailor the narrative, essentially, and tailor the product to fit the narrative, and that's not going to change. Like, I think
Right.
SE, and what it entails is understanding, doing really good discovery, as we say, but understanding both from a factual perspective as well as from an emotional organizational dynamics perspective as to what drives this organization's decisions, this organization's growth curve, bottom line, and so on, and
Yeah.
what is the role of my buyer, my prospect, and then how can my product, my technology help that buyer. So
Right.
doing good discovery is not going to change. Now, what's going to change is the tool sets that you have
Yeah.
access to do discovery. But obviously, you're an expert at it, Sachin, I know. So, using all of these AI tools around prospecting, and whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or
Yeah.
Gemini, to kind of go deeper into an account, into a person you're talking to, and such. Second aspect is, again, the whole aspect around demos, where you're as you are trying to figure out how to tell the story using product as your primary tool, uh, there'll be more tool sets like Olto and others to help you tell a very compelling story. The idea is to first
Mhm.
figure out what is the most relevant use case that I should tell, because once the cost
Mhm.
of creating a story and telling a compelling story goes down, now you'll have a problem of the paradox of choice. There'll be so many scenarios you can show, and because it's
Right.
not that, hey, there are only three
You can be
scenarios to pick from.
selected. Yeah.
Exactly. So pick the right ones, and that's where the great SEs will exercise their judgment. How you
Yeah.
partner up, with your rest of the GTM team and the product team. I think there's always this whole handoff scenario around both, pre-sales, post-sales handoff, or uh, customer feedback around the product, and how does it go to the product team, and how does the feedback
Mhm.
loop kind of get closed with the customer. Oftentimes the feedback comes into the pre-sales teams as part of the sales process,
Yeah.
but by the time the product team can implement it, it's in the post-sales, so the feedback loop gets closed by the post-sales team. I think a lot of those cracks in the feedback loop can be solved, or will be likely solved, so SEs would be more empowered to have a louder voice at the table for areas beyond solutions, beyond pre-sales, specifically on the
Yeah.
product. As I said, there is immense power in being closer to the product, or closer to the code, as well as closer to the customer. And then I think
Yes.
great SEs would figure out a way to exercise that power along both dimensions. A lot of the mundane things that folks do on an ongoing basis, like answering technical questions, the same technical questions, and times, either
Yes.
within internal teams, or in form of security questionnaires, or RFPs and such. We are seeing there are some great options out there in the market that are already helping address some of those solutions, some of those I guess tasks, and the way those tasks were doing. So the
Yeah.
the place, I personally think that the SEs will be able to spend more time in areas that they enjoy, things that
That's
brought them
right.
to the profession in the first place. So we're kind of bringing the joy back to the role of
Yes.
SE.
I think that's the best way to look at it. And you ask any SC, do they like spending hours doing prep for a demo? I mean, yes, you wanna pay attention to who this customer is, who's attending the meeting, but clicking on their LinkedIn profiles, and AI can do all of that for you and serve up saying, hey, 5 people are attending. This is kind of their summary. This is what their background is. These are the universities they went to. Use this knowledge to hyper personalize your presentation. And I love what you said about sales to services handoff. Like, there's so much human connection happens, trust building happens in the sales cycle. Most companies just hand that over to, okay, it's the same customer, but they were dealing with the sales team. Now they're dealing with some technical person in the services team to say, now rebuild that trust with this other person, right? And there's such a big disconnect where the trust has to be, started from ground zero, and sometimes it can take a long time. So there are ways that AI can build that continuum, right? Even from a personalized demo standpoint, hey, we personalize the demo for you, and by the way, we still have the copy of that demo that you use to evaluate and choose us over the competition, right? Now you don't have to start from scratch. You can actually use that same instance to build your production environment on. So it's, yeah, all kinds of different ways, man. And I think I'm excited because we're just at like floor one of where this can go, right? I think we've gone, all of us have kind of bought into the buzz, right? Every company is AI, every company has AI strategy, every company is building, AI experts and their roles now that are AI specialists, and all of that. And I think now is the time when we're shifting from experimentation to realization, and this is a good place to be, because the more we realize, I think we're going to narrow down. Some use cases are going to be like, we thought this would do that, we tried it, it doesn't work. But others where we thought this could do it, but oh my god, it's doing it so much better, let's do more of that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how AI shapes our profession, and it's only going to make us like, I love what you said, bring the joy back in sales engineering, right?
Yeah.
It's talking to people, presenting to people what gets us excited, solving problems, what gets us excited. And I think AI will bring that back. So good.
100%.
Well, thank you, Kintan. So great to see you again, man. Thank you for bringing your wisdom, your thoughts, your technology, your innovation to this profession. I really appreciate the advocacy, the thought leadership you do for sales engineers globally. Keep doing your salons. I think they bring a lot of local leaders and SCs together. I look forward to attending one in Austin soon in a couple
Yes.
of weeks. So thank you for being on the podcast and really, really great to talk to you again.
Yeah, thanks so much for letting me weigh in. And yeah, I think all SE leaders are welcome to the Alto salons, and we do them, and these are inspired by Benjamin Franklin, and it's essentially it's not a sales gathering, sales meeting for Alto, but it's essentially where we bring leading minds from the profession all on the same small group table and talk about how they are using AI or any topic du jour, and learn from each other, and oftentimes invent things and invent new concepts and mechanisms and friendships. So
Yeah.
would love to see many of you at one of the salons as well. And Sachin, thank you so
Brilliant
much.
idea.
Trust your
Please, yeah.
SE.
Follow Kintan on LinkedIn, and you'll learn about when and where these salons are happening. So
Yes, thank you,
awesome. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, man.
Really appreciate it.
Great to have you. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you. Bye.
All right, we can stop here.
Yeah, this is great.